One of the biggest questions in the Diddy trial is what other celebrities will be named, who participated in the f***s and who witnessed the f***s. I mean, Diddy's white parties are infamous.
According to the New York Post, the feds are set to widen the investigation. Diddy's blank probe over claims that the rapper boasted about using a pew-pew on people, bribing jurors, and using J.Lo as a pew-pew mule.
Well, we're going to see a lot of strange things take place due to the fact that I know how this world works. After working in the industry, I converted my business to combat human trafficking. Last year, my team brought home 17 people, 4 children, 1 boy.
The focus is once again on the entertainment sector. This time, it's for a legal battle that might rock its foundation, not for glamour or glamour. Sean Diddy Combs, a hip-hop tycoon, is currently facing a federal trial that involves startling accusations of trafficking, racketeering, and other offenses.
Breaking his silence on the ordeal after months of speculation over their one-time relationship. His rep telling ET, although Justin is not among Sean Combs' victims, there are individuals who were genuinely harmed by him. Shifting focus away from this reality detracts from the justice these victims rightfully deserve.
I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So, and we gonna go full crazy.
Going crazy.
Crazy.
When Sean Diddy Combs' properties were raided in March of 2024, there was a lot of speculation about what might be found inside and whether it would be connected to any of his celebrity friends and acquaintances. As Homeland Security agents poured out of his mansions in LA and Miami with boxes full of electronics, there were rumors that if Combs filmed his elaborate performances called or other parties, there could be video evidence of possible criminal.
Jennifer Lopez has now unexpectedly entered the discussion. That Jennifer Lopez indeed. She may be asked to testify in this well-known case, according to reports. Her relationship, her previous love affair with Diddy, and the now famous 1999 nightclub shooting that has unexpectedly come to light. The alleged crimes of one man are not the only aspect of this case. It concerns authority and responsibility in a sector that has far too frequently ignored the problem.
Interesting, because they started off with this dramatic flair pointing right to Sean Diddy Combs and painting him really as, this larger-than-life icon, but saying that behind that there was another side to him, one where he used his celebrity, his power, really his entire business to force victims into unconsensual. And they started off by painting the picture of one night where they said he was essentially in a rage. He was on the hunt for his girlfriend, the R&B singer Cassie. And they say he kind of got wind that she was going to be with another man. And he went to one of his employees, grabbed them out of bed, forced them to go with a security guard in their SUV to the man's home, broke in. And when they found they weren't there, went off again to look for Cassie. And they depict how when he finally found Cassie, that he brutally beat her, flung her around like a rag doll. And they used that one night to paint the picture of what they say happened over 20 years, not just to Cassie, but to another woman named Jane, who they say the jury will hear from, and also an employee named Mia that they say the jury will hear from. And they say he was somebody who referred to himself as a king and expected to be treated like one, had impossible demands. So really setting the tone of the kind of character they want them.
The dramatic and unsettling testimony of Diddy's ex-girlfriend, Cassandra Cassie Ventura, forms the basis of the prosecution's case. Cassie described an 11-year relationship that was rife with compulsion, aggression, and manipulation during the course of 4 demanding days on the witness stand.
Testimony just about how this was not a case about celebrity preferences, that this was about coercion and control. They say that Cassie, that only one person had power in that relationship, and it was Diddy, not her, that he forced her into these that she didn't enjoy at all, but she felt she had no choice. That in one instance, she almost felt like she was choking because he had a male prostitute urinate in her mouth. I mean, just to give you a sense of some of the graphic detail that we're going to be hearing over these next few weeks. And essentially, they say that this went on for years and years because he had financial control of her life, that she felt she couldn't escape. Again, that she was physically abused throughout this relationship. So, as you say, so much really hinges on Cassie and the testimony, and of course, that video, that CCTV footage from that LA hotel in 2016. We're going to be hearing from the prosecution. They introduced that. What's really important with Jane is they say this all happened not even a year ago, this relationship with Jane. As you say, single mother, she wanted to have a relationship with him, but it wasn't so public in the way it was with Cassie. Now, the prosecutor said that she will testify that shortly into their relationship, he asked her to take part in these freak-offs, and she initially agreed, but was surprised that he wanted to set one up quickly. They say that it was his employees that got the drugs, and that Jane, at one point, after taking the drugs and being forced to have sex with a male prostitute, that she actually threw up because she was so disturbed by it. She didn't like it at all, they said. And they said that Diddy told her, "You're not going to mess up my night. Get back in here and finish." And also with Jane, they tried to, again, depict that there was a pattern here, that he also was physically abusive with her, saying at one point during an altercation between the two that, they both got upset, that he grabbed her by her throat and picked her up in a chokehold and then threw her to the ground. So another case where they're trying to depict how, again, this was something that he did not just with Cassie, but...
She explained how she was allegedly coerced into drug-fueled interactions, or what Diddy dubbed EOS, which were private parties that he not only planned but also recorded in an effort to manipulate and terrorize her. She testified that these incidents were extremely traumatizing and a part of a larger pattern of misbehavior, rather than being voluntary.
2018, a man named Jonathan Odie opened fire at Donald Trump's Miami golf course and was shot and arrested by police. Now, Odie said that he was in the middle of a bipolar episode. That's where it gets interesting. Later, while being questioned by Florida authorities, Odie brought up something totally unexpected. He claimed that he'd been a slave for Sean Diddy Combs and Cassie Ventura. This video is courtesy of Real World Media. Take a look.
I had sex with Cassie and Sean. Basically, he would masturbate and tell me what to do with Cassie. I had like 15 encounters, and I heard lots of business. Because what they would do is Sean talks a lot on the phone and on the TV with speakers and stuff, and I was like a slave.
I felt bad because I got along well with her, and I think she's a decent person. And unfortunately, I had a suspicion that she was in a situation that she was in, but I wasn't sure. And now I understand what was going on in her life and what was happening. And him beating her up in the hotel shows me the type of individual he is, and confirms that everything that happened to me was true and correct and in line with his perspective.
One of the most terrifying incidents Cassie recounted was a 2016 hotel room event that was partially caught on security camera film. Diddy is shown brutally assaulting her in it, an instance that the prosecution claims demonstrates a persistent pattern of aggressive conduct. Although her narrative is horrific, it is also reminiscent of other well-known instances in which women in the entertainment business have spoken out against influential men only to be met with silence, skepticism, or reprisals. Cassie's voice is being heard in a federal courtroom this time, though.
Trials come about, the closer you get to the trial date, a lot of things start happening to remove people from the case that are going to strengthen the case for the prosecution. And I feel like we're watching that take place now. With one of the male worker guys who provided tapes to the feds. He's disappeared. And this is similar to what happened in the Tory Lanez case, where the bodyguard whose DNA was on the weapon, he disappeared. So I expect to see a lot of strange things take place. I expect to see the defense team do a lot of steps to lighten the image of Combs. And we've been watching.
Diddy's legal team has made an unexpected and uncommon admission about his past of domestic abuse, but they are making a clear distinction between previous admissions and the criminal allegations he is currently facing. They argued that Diddy was not the mastermind of a criminal business, even though he was, quote, a terrible boyfriend. The defense claims that Cassie's interactions were voluntary, a part of a common, possibly extreme way of life, and not crimes.
Defense getting to Cassie. How was her demeanor in court today?
To watch someone who is visibly pregnant sort of take deep breaths at times, she's keeping her cool. Honestly, she didn't cry or anything like that. Obviously, early on in the testimony, there were some things that had her in tears. But today, she's been very calm, very measured, especially considering the audio clip that we heard of her threatening to kill someone. I looked over at the jury box because I was wanting to hear their reaction as we're hearing in real time her voice threatening several times to kill someone because she's concerned about this video, and the jurors were shocked. I saw the eyebrows raised, I saw them listening, and I think to hear her voice in court and see how calm and measured she is, and then to hear that side of her. Again, it was in 2014 that this audio clip was something that she recorded, but clearly she's threatening someone who she thinks might release a video, and she's worried about it.
And the person that she was threatening was one of Diddy's associates.
Correct.
What was Diddy's reaction? What was Cassie's own reaction when she heard her audio?
She just kind of looked down. She seems to be very calm. I mean, I think she knows that some of this evidence was going to come out. So she's answering the questions, yes, no. When she doesn't remember something, she's very clear about that. But the prosecution, the defense has been trying to poke some holes into the testimony she gave about the alleged rape that she said took place toward the end of their relationship.
It is a dangerous legal tactic. The defense seeks to humanize Diddy by admitting some degree of guilt, while also challenging the prosecution's portrayal as a meticulously planned system of abuse. However, it also makes it possible to examine his actions more closely, both now and in the past.
The former, and like you said, the key part of that statement was denying that he was a victim, but really talking about the other victims. And it wasn't alleged victims. He said other victims, well, through his spokesperson. So I think that is very, very important. This isn't a Michael Jackson type case where, you know, celebrities are rushing to Combs' defense. Very few people are. And the fact that you have someone come out that really isn't 50 Cent or someone who, you know, is trying to make light of it or a documentary about it and really point the finger at Diddy, that's a...
And previous scandal has also been brought back into the public eye by the trial. The shooting in Club New York in 1999, which involved Diddy and Jennifer Lopez, his then-girlfriend. This is what took place. The club was the scene of a shooting on a December night in Manhattan. Police discovered a stolen gun in Diddy and Lopez's car after they departed the scene with 3 injured victims. The media went into a frenzy right away. Diddy was taken into custody and accused with bribery and weapons crimes. Jennifer Lopez was also arrested for interrogation. Lopez was eventually exonerated of all allegations. Even though Diddy was found not guilty during the trial, the incident had a significant impact on both of their careers, and is still one of the most talked about incidents in hip-hop history.
Dated Albie Shaw, she dated Dallas Austin. With J.Lo, I don't recall her dating too many other people before Puff because she had just came from In Living Color. So he really, really liked her. He really, really liked her. Once he got into that shootout, you know, when they had the shootout at the club, Puff had a manager named Benny Medina. And then Benny Medina told J.Lo that it would probably be in her best interest to break up with Puff because he was going to ruin her career. And she broke up with Puff. That broke his heart. And then Benny Medina wound up no longer being Puffy's manager, and he started managing J.Lo. So she broke out.
More than 20 years later, that night is once again being examined. Even though it has nothing to do with the accusations at hand, prosecutors think it might offer important insight into Diddy's actions and control tendencies.
See a gentleman like this, from affluence and power, whenever they have an addiction to MDMA, the drug ecstasy, they call it the love drug. So he's been doing this drug for over 20 years. So that's gonna lead his view skewed when it comes to activity. I believe it's helped turn him into a deviant. And, you know, what type of man wants to see another man urinate in his wife's mouth? I feel like it's evil. I think his behavior is egregious. And, you know, I have a history of using very heinous acts on people like this who participate in this type of decision.
This leads us to the most recent development in the story. It is possible that Jennifer Lopez will be asked to testify. Why? Due to her close previous friendship with Diddy, and more significantly, the fact that she was present at a critical juncture in his legal career. Prosecutors might be interested in hearing her thoughts on Diddy's actions, mannerisms, and attitudes during their time together, in addition to that crazy night in 1999.
Lopez had to do was marry a white boy, Oscar winner, for people to stop remembering that she had a gun in her pocketbook. She had gunshot residue on her hands the night that Natanya was shot at that club. Not once has she spoken up for the betterment of that woman or say something in her defense to stop Puffy from gaslighting her and trying to put hits out on her because he was afraid that maybe one day they would open the case and she still has the bullet fragments in her face. Like J.Lo has said nothing. You really thought that just running off and marrying Ben Affleck was going to take you out of the Diddy?
J.Lo hasn't said much about that period of her life up to this point. She hasn't talked about the nightclub shooting very often, and when she has, it has been in restrained terms. However, if she were to testify, her account may provide a unique look into Diddy's life at the height of his celebrity, and perhaps validate allegations of his treatment of women. Although it is still unclear if Lopez would actually appear in court, the prospect has given an already explosive case additional complexity and media attention.
Of the federal sex trafficking trial for music mogul Sean Diddy Combs.
The 55-year-old is facing up to life in prison on charges that include racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges.
Ventura is done with her testimony. It wrapped up just a little while ago after a long and tough 2 days of questioning by both sides, a total of 4 days. But in the last moments of her testimony, the defense was able to get a big revelation out of Ventura.
Now, she's about to receive a nearly $10 million settlement from the Intercontinental Hotel. That's where surveillance video captured Combs beating Ventura in March of 2016. Combs' ex confirmed that she had reached the settlement.
One man's alleged conduct are not the only thing at stake in this trial. It serves as a mirror for the entertainment sector. It's about unhealthy relationships, unbridled power, and a culture of secrecy that has let risky behavior to continue behind closed doors. There is a trend of prominent people being held accountable for their alleged wrongdoing years or even decades after it has occurred, starting with Harvey Weinstein and continuing with R. Kelly and Sean Diddy Combs. However, the depth of the accusations is what distinguishes Diddy's case. It goes beyond private misbehavior. It concerns a purported criminal system based on the exploitation of a machine that involves drugs, coercion, manipulation, and secrecy. The ramifications of these accusations could extend well beyond the music industry, compelling everyone involved to consider how it either adequately or inadequately safeguards the weak.
This is a depraved individual. And just keep in mind, she's not the only one. We're going to have more women come forward, we believe, and take the stand and say he did this with them too. And as far as the racketeering goes, there's been testimony that his staff was facilitating it. They would set up the rooms. They would deconstruct the rooms. They would clean the rooms. They would bring in fresh linens from all the blood and human fluids and baby oil that were all over the beds of these hotels. It's absolutely disgusting. Yes, he was obsessed with baby oil. I know we're all kind of joking about baby oil now. It's just sick. Like, he wanted to heat it up. He wanted her putting it on sex workers. The sex workers putting it on her. He wanted her to watch him with female workers too. Made her do that. And the defense is trying to say it's all consensual. We've got these emails showing some of them were at her request, or she was at least open-minded, or seemed to be anticipating it with favor. And therefore, this wasn't coercive. As for the beatdown we've seen on tape, they seem to want to suggest he was angry about his phone, something had happened to his phone, and not that she left the freak off. Now, they're not going to get that in evidence in any meaningful way unless he testifies. And if he testifies, all bets are off.
coming out is difficult for survivors like Cassie Ventura, particularly when the accused has significant wealth, position, and power. Her bravery is similar to those of other women who have come up recently, changing the discourse on control and misbehavior.
For I'll be sure are being answered day by day. From the moment that we found out he flatlined to the moment we found out he came back. I'm here vigilant for that. Justice for Kim Porter. Support for Cassie. We have to remember there are real survivors like Natanya Rubin. This is why I'm here.
Got it. And we know that Albie Show was also on Good Day New York just last week. Talking about much of this. What was your thoughts as you heard him even speak out on that show?
Sorrow and joy that he's finally being heard, that he's finally being listened to, that someone is finally seeing that his story is worth believing in.
Nevertheless, achieving justice is a difficult and drawn-out process. Among the difficulties victims encounter include cross-examinations, media attention, and online criticism. However, the story starts to change with every testimonies. These are now being viewed as systemic problems that necessitate structural change rather than as individual celebrity controversies.
The problem didn't start for me until I started to speak out about people like this. You know, it's been a hard time to line up this interview because the last time I was scheduled to be in this interview, randomly, our car gets hit from the side by a blacked out vehicle. No license plate. That's happened 3 times this month so far.
Really?
Somebody didn't want me to do this interview. Yeah, somebody didn't want me to do this interview. You know, I'm somebody where I've had FBI come to my house before and tell me they found a threat against my life. So, you know, I'm well versed in this world. This is a dangerous game people are playing, and it's a good feeling for me to see the justice system prevail, and some people deserve retribution.
You clearly feel that Sean Combs over the years has made people disappear.
The world is keeping an eye on Sean Diddy Combs' trial to see if justice can actually win out in a field that has historically functioned behind a curtain of power and influence, in addition to determining whether one individual is found guilty or innocent. Jennifer Lopez's testimony might be very important if she does testify, not only because of her identity, but also because of what she stands for. A reminder that even the most well-known people can become entangled in the web of wrongdoing, deceit, and trauma.
Not one picture of him and Snoop together. You gotta realize Snoop came to New York and said he didn't have a problem with Big and them, he didn't have a problem with nobody, and Pac felt a certain kind of way behind that. Went on Steve Harvey's show with Puff. Like, that's my dude, this, that, and the third. But yet still, Big came out to California. Was they really that cool? Or it was just a facade that was put up? You don't see not one place where they smoked a blunt together. Both of them like to smoke. We was in the studio with Bone Thugs and Harmony. Snoop never came over there. So you...
Whether a conviction or acquittal is the outcome of this trial, there is little doubt that the period of stillness is coming to an end. The entertainment sector is being compelled to face its most sinister aspects. And maybe, just maybe, that's where true change starts. As we continue to pursue this story, stay tuned. For more updates on breaking news, pop culture, and the stories that matter, remember to like, share, and subscribe.